Hello, one. Hello, all. And welcome back to Uncultured Universe. We are the podcast where two friends normally show each other movies that they haven't seen in order to get a little bit more culture in their lives. I'm your host, Joe, and I'm joined as always by the gross, uncultured Justin.
Disgusting.
Today, we will be forging new territory and venturing into the smaller screen, the terrifying and wondrous world of network television.
Oh,
That's right.
man.
It's time for dysfunctional love with a side of fries. We're talking Bob's Burgers. Justin,
My
we have
God.
teased it for so long, almost 2 years on this podcast. We were like, movie, 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 movie. One day we'll get to TV.
Yeah,
You
right.
wanted to
Like,
do books. I said I don't read books. And
he said,
then
I can't read.
finally, we are making this work and we'll see how this episode goes. We are talking about a TV show. I want to say right off the bat, yes, it is true. Listeners of Uncultured Universe know that we have technically covered TV in the past, but I don't know if we should count Over the Garden Wall as a show, as it's more of
An
a mini
experience?
series
Yeah.
that we kind
Yeah.
of treated like a movie. We watched it all at once.
We did.
Uh,
I mean, yeah, right. Because it's 10-minute episodes. So, like, you
mhm.
can't count that as like regular TV. But yeah,
It's
so
roughly a
like,
movie.
it's roughly a movie. And that was like our third episode or fourth episode or
We were
something.
so young.
We didn't know any better.
It was the 90s.
It was the 90s, man. Things were crazy. But yeah, like we're in this mid-season of shaking shit up. Like we're taking long hiatuses. We're doing shit to mix things up. The last episode, the last full episode we did was the Marley and Me episode from last month with Ryan on. And that was our foray into books, plus film. Because that one
Yeah.
also has a partnering movie to it. And when Joe was like, "Hey, we're coming, I'm coming back from my trip around the world in 180 days. What are we gonna do next?" And I was like, "Joe, fuck it. You're gonna do a Bob's Burgers episode because we're doing things like that we've never done before." So I'm glad we finally got to do this. I'm glad I finally planted my ass down on the couch and watched several episodes of Bob's Burgers at your request.
I'm very excited. I'll talk through kind of the premise here and how we decided to do this, but I wanted to touch on Marley and Me real quick. First
Mm,
off, great episode. Listen to it.
thank you.
Might be in the running. Tell me if I'm wrong for movie that we have hated the most. You guys did not like Marley and Me the movie.
Man, we tore into that flick so hard. Yes, that one definitely gets the like 1 out of 5 stars for the uncultured universe, scale for certain.
We're
Um,
we're gonna need to publish like Uncultured Wrapped or something like that, where we give like an overview of like here's our ratings for all the movies we covered this year,
so
etc.
I have been struggling to keep our letterboxed account alive, although I'm not certain how to use it. But we can leverage it in whatever way. Maybe we add some quirky highlights and stuff to it, and actually give it a firm rating. So for those of you on Letterboxd, Uncultured Universe is on it. I don't know what our account name or hashtag or whatever it is, but stay tuned. We'll keep up with that more.
May 2024, Captain's Log, episode 41. Joe finds out that we have a letterbox account.
Yeah, that's right. And you know what? That's another thing too. We've done 40 plus episodes of this damn show, which is really cool.
I was very excited when I heard that stat in the Marley and Me episode. I hadn't realized.
It's pretty great. But yeah, that was a good episode of just like shaking things up, doing things different, and I love keeping that spirit alive. So, said Joe, come on down from your high horse, and let's do a TV episode, an episode, and we'll figure out how to do it. And we've cracked the code, sort of. This being the inaugural TV type of discussion. So yeah, let's dive into that a little bit.
We picked an easier one. So listeners may know the concept of this podcast is I will pick something, or Justin will pick something that the other has not seen, heard, experienced, yada yada, and then we talk about that moment when you get to experience something for the first time, as opposed to being someone who has lived with it. It's been foundational to your childhood, your adulthood, all that stuff. So it's obviously easier to do that with movies. That's what we've done so far.
Yep.
Did want to see how we could stretch it. TV was kind of the natural next step there. Um, and so when you talk about TV, there's kind of an easier way to do it and a harder way, and we've gone with the easier way. I would say.
Yeah.
Picking a show that is not serialized, I guess the word is.
Yeah.
So it's not like 250 episodes where they're all the same story going from one episode to the next. No, um, a show like Bob's Burgers, which is an animated comedy show that airs currently on Fox. I think I watch it on Hulu.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's more of a contained story within each episode with the same characters, the same setting, and all that stuff. But you don't necessarily have to know all the episodes in order to dive in. And so what I did was I I assigned episodes for Justin to watch. We're going to cover 4 episodes here from across 13 seasons. I kind of gave him some highlights. It was really hard to whittle down. I texted him. I was like, this is one of the hardest things for this podcast, because I'm trying to like give you a well-rounded idea of
Mm.
the show itself and the characters in it, and like the different combinations thereof and the different kind of arcs that they go through. Um, but I also recognize you really can't get an idea of a show without like living with it. So much of like fandom for a TV show comes with like sticking with it year after year, season after season. And
Yeah.
so this isn't really an episode where I'm like expecting you to love it. I'm almost more interested to see like how you feel being like dropped into it versus me, where this is more like my comfort watch. I want to see it from like the other side of the spectrum here.
Totally. Yeah. Like I can see how this would be a comfort watch. Some of my like comfort watch, like of years past, as far as like animation goes, was Family Guy. Especially in the early years of like streaming on Netflix when it was on Netflix. You could just turn it on and let it go all day.
Hmm.
And it was just a thing that you could just blast through all 20 seasons or whatever it is very easily. But, I haven't been able to get back to that since. Spoiler alert, having a kid like decimates your like
You can have it on in the
individualism.
delivery room.
No, it's like, no, 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 no. I love this one. This is going to be hilarious. Um, it decimates your adult time, um, with a lowercase a, people, of, you know, uh, between like work and taking care of the kid and doing all the stuff that you need to do. Realistically, like my partner Ryan and I, we only have like 2 to 2.5 hours just to ourselves at night after we put our daughter to bed and before we take a shower and go to bed. So like we have to be very choosy with what we watch. Um,
Yeah.
so like we have very specific things that we like to watch. Drag Race being one of them. Dropout.tv being another. So like being able to precariously balance that against stuff for the podcast and stuff is very tough to do. But all that to say, prelude to say, um, I can see how this show is such a comfort watch because the characters are so lived in and dynamic. And I liked that you gave me such a wide breadth. Not even just from like season wise, like you gave me like season 3 and 4, 8 and 13. So like that's given a lot of time for the characters to develop. It gives the cast a lot of time to marinate and work together and make those kinds of connections with each other. And but it feels the same to me of season 3 versus 13. Like the characters feel just as comfortable in season 3 as they do in 13, right?
Hmm.
So I can see how this is a beloved TV show by many, 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 many people. It just was never one of mine. I never got around to watching the show. I don't even know when it started, like when it came out, but
I'll get you some stats in a second, but yeah, like it came out in 2011. That's when it premiered. What did you know about this show having not seen it? Like having just heard about it, what did you think it was about? Like what was your impression of it?
Um, so like you said, it was on Fox, and that's alongside like American Dad and the Cleveland Show, like that universe of Family Guy, that kind of thing. But I was already firmly in the Family Guy universe, and I was like, I don't feel like starting another show, or it just never gripped me. Of just like, I want to live in this world at this restaurant with this family.
Mhm.
Um, to me, it felt like, uh, uh, which most of these animation shows are that are centered around a nuclear family. Like it's just another Simpsons rehash kind of a thing.
Mhm.
Um, where you got the central family with the wacky characters, and the neighborhood is a character itself, or the city is a character itself. Um, it just never like got its hooks into me. I've known plenty of people who are like, "Oh, I fucking love this show. Bob's Burgers rules." Or like you got to watch it, you got to check it out. It's like I remember seeing like costumes at Dragon Con about it, and seeing memes and stuff, and like I don't get it, but I don't understand the reference, but I can appreciate it for what it is. Like one of the episodes you gave me to watch was a Thanksgiving episode, and I was like, "Oh, I bet that's like the meme of like the pass the cranberry sauce." And I was like, "Oh, okay, this is going to be where it comes from."
We're having mashed potatoes.
Yeah, but turns out it wasn't this episode,
Hmm.
which is fine. So it just never popped in my radar of just like I need to watch that show.
Yeah, this show definitely sits with Family Guy, American Dad, and shows like that. Like under the umbrella that the Simpsons initially established. So you have that like kind of working class family, three kids style mom and dad, like animated sitcom. Um, uh, that all these shows tend to kind of share,
Mhm.
and not just because like they're all kind of like the on the Fox animation lineup, but then you also have shows that are kind of tangential to this, like South Park is
Yeah.
a show that I would think of here. Um, and so in the space of like the adult animated sitcom, um, this show started out following in the footsteps of The Simpsons and Family Guy. It's not particularly like beautifully animated, and it actually got some mixed reviews at first because it didn't really have its own voice. It was a lot more what is the word here? It was a lot more like crude than you would
Right.
think,
Yeah.
given like later episodes. Like, I'll talk about like the original concept for the show, but like the first episode has like a child molestation joke that's kind of like thrown out there.
Yeah.
They're all kind of like meaner to each other in a Family Guy sort of way. But the way that it evolves, especially past season one, and the way that I think it's kind of like carved out its niche in later seasons is like this is got a lot more heart than most adult animated TV shows, while still maintaining like a level of like wit and bite and edge to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, but it's become more it's branched out into different genres. It's more of like a family comedy. It's more of like a workplace comedy too. Obviously,
Mhm.
like the
The restaurant
uh,
example.
that was one of the harder things I had to figure out, like in determining what episodes to give you. There's like so many different ways to view the show based off of like the setting and what they're doing. So I tried to get you one that's like, okay, you got to obviously have one that's in the restaurant. You got to have one where the kids are doing something. You got to have different combinations of characters.
Mhm.
You got to show these like this like zany, huge community of supporting cast members in this town. And so what did I ended up doing? I told you there was like an unintentional theme that I gave you. 3 out of the 4 episodes I gave you were holiday themed. I
Yep.
didn't even mean to do that. Um, I I started you out with a just a standard Bob's Burgers episodes. Bob's fires the kids, and then I gave you a Thanksgiving episode, which Bob's Burgers is famous for. They
Yep.
have one every season. a Valentine's episode, which really kind of highlights Tina's side of things, and then a Christmas episode that was the most recent one. That was kind of an example of like an apex Bob's Burgers episode that they've hit recently, especially in
Yeah.
terms of like emotional content that I wanted to talk through.
Yeah.
But yeah, it goes to show something that like a show like this tends to like gravitate around the themes for each holiday, and like you can really see those pop out in these episodes. And so the reason people keep coming back is that shows use like holiday episodes as a way to like give people an expectation. Like I will watch the Bob's Burgers like Thanksgiving Day episodes as like a mini series in their own right, because they're all kind of incredible.
Right. Yeah. Like they've carved that out for themselves, and it makes sense because like they have a restaurant, there's food, and there's great puns and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So them being the show that has like I have claimed Thanksgiving, because like The Simpsons does the Treehouse of Horror
Yeah.
kind of a thing. Family Guy does really incredible, I think, Christmas episodes a lot of the time, but they're like
Yeah.
not like known for it. But I can see how this would carve out of that. But you're absolutely right. Of this show, because I didn't know like what the hook was of this show. I was like, it's just a quirky, weird family in a restaurant, that kind of thing, making their way middle class, lower class kind of style. And since you mentioned that it does have more heart comparatively to, obviously a South Park or Simpsons or Family Guy, American Dad, where like you get some like emotional resonance every once in a while, every once in a blue moon. This one I could definitely see, at least from this quick, you know, uh, uh, snapshot of these episodes of just like, just saw the fucking spatula in your hand. Um, the quick snapshot of these 4 episodes is just like, oh, that one was really sweet. Oh, that one was really sweet. Oh, I could see where this one is like, and it's the family and the relationship and stuff like that. But we can talk about that in a second. But first, before we progress any further, yes, you gave me 4 episodes. So we started down the list, getting ready to go, fire it up, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna break what Joe tells me to do. I'm gonna watch up season 1, episode 1,
Oh
just to.
God.
So I did it anyway. So I know that the child molester, it comes with candy joke, and it's fucking hilarious. I thought that was really great. But anyway, before we divulge too much further, we'll watch this thing that I put together. Joe, you're gonna love it.
Yeah.
If you think about it, any box could have vibrators in it.
Oh my god, it's my toys! Wow, I haven't seen these since I was just a kid. I used to hide it from my dad because he didn't want me to have toys during work hours.
It's gonna be okay. There's a lot of other fish in the sea, not little dumb guppies like Jimmy Jr. Big, handsome sharks with big shark muscles. And crabs with abs.
Things are not going great with Tony. Haven't been going great with Tony for a long time. You know, Tony's hot, but maybe it's time for me to just settle.
No. Look at me. I'm nothing. You love Tony. Stay with Tony.
You know the drill. Every year I enter a poem with the word poop in it so that if it gets selected, I get to say poop in the library. And they put the poem on the wall for a month.
That's not a great reason. Never mind.
Joe, I'm like super into lo-fi. Like this is what I do.
Justin, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
I
that gives a good.
I think it's a lovely way to capture the show in kind of like a home movies format. That's very much the vibe of the show. It looks like you're looking on like your past childhood. It's kind of out of place, out of time.
Yeah, there's like
Um,
hardly any cell phone usage or technology things that place it in a specific date or time. Yeah, I think it's great. But yeah, I have a prevailing theory of the through line of each of these episodes, but we'll get to that at the very end.
Okay.
But yeah,
We'll
how
get
do
to
we
your
how are we gonna do
big theory. Let me give you some TV stats. We
Yeah,
normally
yeah.
I've got some movie stats, but I'll give you some TV stats here. Okay, Bob's Burgers, created by Lauren Bouchard, who I believe worked in animation up until Bob's Burgers, but this is kind of his big hit. He describes it as a show about blue collar creatives, which I like. He's taking from shows like Family Guy, obviously, and a lot of people consider Bob's Burgers to be the spiritual successor of King of the Hill. But he's kind of shining a light on this family. It comes from like his own family past of like blue collar, like working class family, but uh they're constantly getting into these like insane like zany adventures. They're constantly like exploring new territory from within the boundary of this small street that they live on, essentially. um the show stars the voices of H. John Benjamin, who you may know from shows like Archer, Dan Mintz, Eugene Merman, Larry Murphy, John Roberts, and Christian Schall, along with a truckload of recurring voice acting talent like Bill Hader, Tina Fey, Nick Offerman, Molly Shannon, and Jordan Peele, among others. The show was first released in 2011. It's on its 14th, and a movie and was released in 2022.
Oh shit! I forgot they did a movie.
Oh yeah, you should check out the movie. It's pretty great. You can also it's another one of those things that you can kind of watch on its own, and it's got like a slightly higher production value, so like it's animated in a slightly different way. It looks kind of cool. Like we mentioned earlier, early reviews of the first season were mixed, but since then the show has developed its own voice and has been met with critical acclaim, winning the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Animated Program twice.
Wow.
The original concept for the show, which you can kind of see traces of in the first episode, Tina was actually a son named Daniel. They only had Louise as their daughter, and the idea was supposed to be that the family was cannibals, and it was like a Sweeney Todd situation. So within the show, the restaurant is situated next to a crematorium, like Mort's funeral home, and the idea was supposed to be that they're like taking bodies from the funeral home and putting them in the burgers. But the people at Fox decided to push against that, and it kind of became more of the broader comedy that it is today.
That first episode from season 1, like I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was great, and it introduced a lot of like interesting tropes that prevailed through the rest of the episodes, like heavy into Punville, which I thought was genius, and then just like the kids getting involved with a lot of just the inner workings of the restaurant, which is hilarious. Hilarity ensues, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, it was great.
Okay, so here's what I'd like to do for the plot description. It's obviously hard to do a plot of an entire TV series. So I will give kind of like a baseline. Here's the details that we're working with. And then what we would typically do for a movie is I would give you a minute to describe the plot of the movie. Instead, we're going to chop that up. I'm going to give you 4 15-second integrals to describe each episode's plot as fast as you can.
Okay.
They're not going to be one right after the other. Like I'll stop. I'll give you some breathing room, and then we'll do the next one. Okay.
Great.
So
ready.
let me lay the groundwork.
Okay.
Bob's Burgers is a show about a man named Bob Belcher. He runs a burger restaurant with his family, his wife Linda, his oldest daughter Tina, middle son Gene, and youngest daughter Louise. They're all kind of zany. They all work in this restaurant together. The kids go to school. They're friends with people in the neighborhood. They all have different personalities. Tina's kind of shyer and a teenager going through hormones. She's the conscience of the group. Gene is like a little mama's boy. He's musically inclined. He loves hanging out with his siblings, and he's very weird but very confident. And then Louise is the schemer of the group, always trying to get rich quick, always manipulating everyone around her. But the best episodes with Louise are where you kind of see that she has a heart of gold beneath it all.
Yeah, she. Oh man. Yeah, that we'll talk about it in a bit. But Yes, that is apt. That is a great groundwork, and that gives me ton to work with for these 15
They
seconds.
they run this restaurant in this like seaside town in an unknown town, although it's considered by a lot of people to be like on the shore of New Jersey somewhere. That's kind of the vibe.
Yeah.
There's a big host of characters in the town that they interact with. Yeah, you get it. Okay, so
You've seen the show.
you know what we're talking about. I gave you 4 episodes to watch. I'll give you 15 seconds each to describe the plot of them. Cover as much of the basics as you can, and we'll kind of see how you improve with each go at this.
Great.
Let me get my timer up. Hold, please. Okay. So are you ready for the plot description for season 3, episode 3, Bob Fires the Kids?
Yes.
Okay. Your 15 seconds starts now.
Bob fires the kids because he doesn't want them to end up like he did when he was a child. So they actually end up working across town at a farm, which moonlights as like selling pot, and he hates it. He wants to get the kids back, but the DEA gets involved somehow, and then that's it.
Stop. Very nice. Okay.
That's about it, right?
The idea is like tagline in a TV guide type thing.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
All right. Season 4, episode 5, Turkey in a Can.
Got it.
Your 15 seconds starts now.
Drama at the Belcher household. Bob is trying to prepare the perfect turkey for Thanksgiving, but it keeps ending up in the toilet somehow magically. Come to find out, it's because of his wife's sister with the cats, and he has to take medicine, and he's sleepwalking. Spoiler.
Okay. Bit of a downswing. We'll come back. Okay.
Linda. Got it.
Linda's the wife.
Yeah.
Season 8, episode 8, V for Valentine-detta.
Great.
15 seconds starts now.
Tina gets her heart broken by some shit boy at school. So her and the girls go out for a girls' night to plot revenge against this shit kid. And Gene and Bob go on also a father-son date.
That's pretty much it. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Final episode that we watched. Season 13, episode 10, The Plight Before Christmas. 15 seconds now.
There is Plight Before Christmas. All 3 kids have functions at the same time on the same night. So Linda and Bob are trying to figure out how to get there. But turns out Louise is saying something really sweet at the library, a poem, and they're trying to get there. And it's really great.
Zany hijinks. Okay. Really good job. I kind of threw that at you as a last minute task. And you stepped up to it.
I expected something like that. You have become predictable.
You call this predictable? Wait till my end game. Okay.
Oh God.
Let's kind of talk in general terms about the show itself, and then we can get into some notes on individual episodes. So generally the show, like we said, it's very punny, it's very musical, it's bouncy in a way that is what you can come to expect from a Bob's Burgers episode. I love the intro sequence. It's one of those sequences that changes every time, and so you have when they're showing like the title sequence of an episode, you show like the next door sign of the building next door, which is always a pun on something, and then the vermin exterminator truck that comes in the title sequence is also a pun. And then you have the ending sequence of every episode when the credits are rolling. There's usually like an original song playing over the credits while characters from the episode kind of dance around the kitchen. It's very wholesome in that way.
Sorry, I just looked up like some of the best like the next door businesses. Because I noticed that like after watching the first one popped up and I was like, oh, that's really funny. And then the burger of the day is also really, really funny. And then the exterminator pops up. Just like some of these are so fucking funny. The I'd hit that boxing gym is great. the misogynist massages for men, which is great. It's so funny. Lin-Manuel's verandas, patio furniture. Like someone's having a really good time. Like I hope that they're probably not the same person, but you watched The Good Place, right?
Yeah.
The person who came up with the pun names of all the restaurants in the Good Place neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's same kind of thing, which is just that's someone's job. Came
It
up with
sounds like
that.
it's a fun writer's room to
Yeah.
start here. Um, give me some thoughts. What did you think about each episode? What were kind of some of the ups and downs, just takeaways here for you?
So like I said, we started with episode 1, season 1, episode 1. I was just like, Joe can't tell me what to do. I need just that, and that came to be the main crux of like, how do we do TV when there's like such an expanse of episodes, even though these aren't serialized episodes or whatever, but like I still wanted to like land in the first spot and then go through the journey you plotted out. Um, but once I've acclimated to the taste of like the flow of action and the sort of the dynamics between the characters, getting into the ones that you prescribed to me, I really, really enjoyed them looking back. So Bob Fires the Kids was really funny. That one was the most like joke forward of like ridiculous premise forward. Working on a blueberry farm that moonlights as selling copious amounts of drugs. Like I thought that was hilarious, and loving Nick Offerman and Megan Mullally. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was
Mm-hmm.
just spectacular. Um, Turkey in a Can. Again, I thought it was really, really funny. It's a good gag. But then at the very end, it takes this really sweet turn, and I'll talk about that in a second. And then I was like, "Oh, okay, that was something I didn't expect." I was like, "Okay, that's pretty sweet. I like that." V for Valentine-detta was also very, very funny. Um, but then with that underlying like sweetness to it of like, Linda taking the lead of like need to take care of the girls. Definitely need to lift up Tina to help her do this. And there's sweet moments also between Gene and Bob. Really liked that one, but then like you said, the apex of this of was the Plight Before Christmas. That one was, and most holiday episodes usually have that really good underlying heart to it. That one was just like I literally I did get chills and tears in my eyes at the end of that one. I was just like, I did not expect this. Damn it, Joe, how dare you? So we can dive through, but at a first swap, I had a really good time with this. I am interested in watching more. There is, heaps of episodes to watch, so that's good for me.
Yeah, you can really dive in anywhere and not be disappointed. I'm glad you picked up on some of the arcs I was going for here with this journey that I have led you on, as we're saying. The my thought process behind these episodes, starting with the season 3 episode, Bob's Fires the Kids. I picked that one because I wanted to give you an idea of like the core setting of the show. Obviously, this restaurant, so much of the heart of the show just is in the workplace comedy of it all, of
Mhm.
them running a restaurant where they employ their 3 kids as like the waiters and the cleaners, and the kids
Yeah.
kind of hate it. Um, but I also wanted to touch on with this episode, it's kind of has some edge to it. Like I think in the earlier seasons, like I'm sure you especially see it in like season 1, episode 1, the joke was more that like Bob is just like really kind of crotchety and annoyed by his kids in a way.
Yeah.
And you see that a little bit in Bob Fires the Kids. And you also get some backstory of like, oh, he's giving his kids kind of a shitty childhood because he had a shitty childhood and he doesn't
Yeah.
really know any better. And I wanted to be able to show you that, but then also progress forward into an episode like Turkey in a Can, which is the next season. It's one of like the more famous Thanksgiving episodes. You get you get the first taste of bisexual Bob, which becomes
Is
kind
that
of
a
like a
thing?
theme.
I
Oh, it's
love that.
It's a theme. It's almost canon at this point that Bob is a little bisexual.
He's like,
Um,
I'm straight. I'm mostly straight.
there's instances throughout. But then you also start to see the show's creators realize like maybe we should start kind of like chipping away at this guy and like having these episodes be more focused around like yeah, it's hilarious, yeah, they're all kind of like ribbing each other, and yeah, like they live this kind of shitty existence on top of their burger place. They literally live on top of their restaurant.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of wonderful, and they find this like deep love for each other within all of this, and they don't need anything else. They don't need like money or like a nice house. They really just need each other in all of
Yeah.
this. And so it's appropriate as a Thanksgiving episode. And then that also introduces some side characters that are kind of very recurring throughout, like Linda's sister Gail, who is also voiced by Megan Mullally, and then
Yeah.
Teddy, who's kind of unofficially the sixth main character of the show. He's kind of the biggest recurring character. He's their biggest customer, and he's also like a handyman. He comes in and fixes the restaurant a lot. And so you have that in that episode, and then getting into V for Valentine-detta, I wanted to branch out a little bit more, get them out of the restaurant, out of the house, and show like how guest characters can like have such like prominent impacts on the show. Like this is actually the first time Nat the limo driver shows up on the show, but
she comes back. Oh,
she
man.
comes back in like a few other ones, and it's easy to see how like given the right like voice cast, given the right like personality, a character can kind of slot in and feel like they were built for this show, even if like you've never met them before. And then also in this Valentine's episode, it's interesting to see the different like combinations of these characters that can work and produce different types of comedy.
Yes.
One of the notes I had is that this is one of the few shows where like I don't necessarily have a favorite character, because they all have like moments in episodes where I love them all kind of equally. If I absolutely have to pick, I think Linda edges out by like a hair as like my favorite one of the group, the mom. But what I love about Bob's Burgers and other animated shows like this is like it's gone on for so long that depending on the storyline with each episode, the A plot, the B plot, you're going to get like different pairings, different like groupings of characters, and have different dynamics in that way. And so like the V for Valentine-detta episode is the girls and the boys split off. You get like a classic like Gene and Bob episode, which comes around every few times, but it's so great to see them one-on-one, because you don't usually see it too much, and you get to see like Bob's softer side. Like he's not really like a super like masculine dad in that way. Like he loves his kids for who they are as individuals, and his kids are fucking weird. But they also like love each other and love their parents. They're like happy kids.
Yeah. Which you appreciate. You don't. Maybe you get some of that with some of the other characters from like Family Guy or whatever. But like the relationship between the kids is, I think, the stronger bond that kind of prevails through each of these episodes. The first one, where they all like are fired from the restaurant, but they stick together to go work at a blueberry farm. They're still doing it together, but they're each kind of conflicted in different ways. The turkey in the can, they're all, it's kind of the mystery setting, right? With Luis trying to like uncover what's actually happening. And then yeah, you get the girls all together, which was great. I thought that was a good dynamic as well.
They're all so different and independent, but at the end of the day, they all just kind of love hanging out with each other the most. And it's kind of sweet. And all of this leads up to, I had to give you the Plight Before Christmas. So when that episode came out, people kind of knew it was different. It's one of a couple episodes in these later seasons where you can tell they just put a little bit more oomph into it. So there's this Christmas episode. There's an episode called Amelia, where Louise has to give like a presentation on Amelia Earhart to her class. It's actually a season finale episode. There's like a lot of heart in that one. And then there's an episode called, oh God, I can't remember the name, but it's in one of these later seasons where it focuses on Rudy, who's actually like a complete side character, but like it puts the entire episode on him and like him going throughout his day, and like it completely takes you off guard. I don't even think you saw Rudy in any of these episodes that we saw.
No,
He's
I
like
don't even
one of
know
their,
who the fuck that is.
he's one of their friends at school. He's in like Louise's grade. He walks around with like an inhaler. But like they, especially since the movie came out, and maybe they've gotten, I don't know if they've gotten like more budget or anything like that, but they've started to like experiment with a few different things. And so you get an episode like The Plight Before Christmas where it's kind of it's a basic sitcom-y plot. Like all three of the kids have some sort of school performance thing the same night, and Bob and Linda have to figure out who's going to go to what, and there's only two of them versus three of the kids. And it packs so much heart into the end of it. Like I cry like every time I watch this episode.
I did not
out of
expect
nowhere
to feel that either. Like you said, it was out of nowhere because I did not expect that. I was like, I wonder how this is going to resolve itself. And then you get the scene like where you think it's Tina coming up in the star costume, and it's not, and you're like, oh no, she went to go see. Oh my God. And then like Gene's doing the thing with the music, and the music swells and it sounds really great. And it's
the
so
music's
good.
incredible. And it also has time for like some of the funnier moments of the season, like Tina Fey voicing the substitute teacher, where she asked Gene in the class to explain music to her, and he's like, I'll do it. Wait, we should start at the beginning. We should start at Prince. How are you with explicit lyrics?
It was so funny. Like, but that was such a good cap to it, of just like, okay, that's what this show really drives at. And over time, yes, more budget, like you get more talented writers in the room, and like they're finding their foothold of like, these are the kinds of stories that we can tell. I think it's super relatable, of from like an every family kind of way of like, how do you split your time between kids that have things to do, very important things to do? Like, it's a real life slice of life type of setting, which is really, really great. And this was a wonderful cross section.
Yeah, and it's interesting to talk about TV in this way too, because like so many of these emotional moments, especially in like the later seasons of the show, feel earned in a way because of the amount of time that we spend watching like years and years of the show leading up to it.
Oh yeah. I could
So
I could imagine like the Christmas episode hitting really hard if you'd been there the whole 13 seasons. But
yeah,
even
when
still,
they've never really done something like that before.
but you gave me 4 episodes. Well, I watched 5, but you gave me 4, and it still hit. Just because it's really good writing, and the characters are so well rounded. It was just like, this makes sense. This feels earned. So
I'm just looking at some of my notes as I was watching each episode. So The Plight Before Christmas, I have in all caps, foundational episode, game changer. And then I'm quoting Miss Merkin says the play is about love and loss and online shopping and the end of innocence. It's a xylophone performance.
Oh, that's right. It's the most xylophone time of the year.
The episodes where Louise has a heart of gold. I love such a great example of also like Tina's role within the siblings. She's usually kind of the pushover. She's a little bit slower than them, but she's ultimately the conscience of the group. Like she hates going. She's the anxious one, but she's also like incredibly hormonal. So Tina's episodes where like her hormones essentially take over and she reveals like how much of a horny little teen she is, are always hilarious. You saw a glimpse of it with Jimmy Jr.
Oh God.
The Valentine's episode, Teddy DVRing Law and Order and not wanting to hear spoilers.
Yeah, he has 200 episodes to catch up on.
Turkey in a can. You get bisexual Bob. You get Tina practicing practicing how to be a grown-up by saying stuff like in
In
this
this
economy.
economy? I thought that was brilliant.
A turkey in every toilet, only in America.
Oh, that was a good line too.
Um, yeah, I don't know. It really comes down to being like a comfort watch. It's a show that you can throw on regardless of episode, regardless of season. There's a consistent quality to it that has kind of miraculously maintained for over a decade at this point. Like you get shows like Family Guy that are in like season 20 right now and they're kind of coasting. I'm interested still to see where Bob's Burgers is going forward, especially with the movie release in the last couple of years, especially with these kind of more experimental episodes. You had a little bit of it in the trailer video that you put together, but there's actually an episode where the animators kind of like worked with like 30 or so different style animators, and they let them animate like every few scenes, and it was just like a normal episode, a normal story, but the animation style changes every few
That's so
scenes.
wild.
It's not addressed like at all.
That's great.
It's a really cool one to watch.
That's fun. While we're kind of like talking about it and kind of picking things apart, I will say, so yes, these were all really good bottle episodes, that kind of thing. The Plight Before Christmas makes sense as like an emotional apex. Still got me. That was great. But in a more real sense, the one that caught me the most off guard because of who I am and where things are in our lives right now, Turkey in a Can at the end slammed home for me for sure. I was like, that is the sweetest thing because Bob is sleepwalking because of the antihistamine or the allergy meds he's taking because of the cats, but he's reverting back to potty training Tina because she wants to sit at the grown-up table and he doesn't want her to grow up. And I was like, holy shit. When I thought about it, I was like, I'm going to lose it right now when I think about
I thought that one might be good for you. Yeah.
that. Because we are literally in the throes of potty training at the moment. And that one hit so hard, Joe. I was trying to like
little
yeah.
baby Tina in a nightgown and glasses.
Yeah, but just him, like, but also cut back to him holding the turkey of just like, oh, you got to make pee pee or poo poo. Like, it's hilarious. But yeah, that one definitely slammed it home for me, and I was just like, holy shit, this is great.
It's really that those moments that kind of make this show what it is. It's like it's a it's a smelly, grimy show. But the point of it is that they love each other because of and in spite of all of that. They love the lives that they lead. They love their home, even though they complain about it. They love the business, even though they complain about it. There's some episodes that talk about like how Louise secretly is looking forward to maybe taking over the business after Bob is old and gone, and how he's kind of like excited to see what his kids do in the future with like they're so weird, but they're also like so extremely creative and talented, and they have these skill sets, and they're boldly going out into the world and doing all these things. And it's a show ultimately about like not letting material things like money or circumstance hold you back. Like they are kind of a poor working class family, but that doesn't really affect them in the slightest, or the relationships that they have.
Which is a good, anchor for majority of the audience who's going to be watching this. I think I can see a tangent, a clear dotted line in red Sharpie being drawn between this show and probably Bluey, something like Bluey. It's the same kind of a thing of just like it's this nuclear family kind of thing going through just regular everyday things, which are just so incredibly relatable when it comes down to it. We've watched a bunch of Bluey because of just where we are. Even though that show cranks up the emotional resonance and like heart-wrenching stuff more often, it's still like plenty funny, and it plays to kids really well. It plays to adults really well. It tones down obviously the some of the raunch factor and some of the punny jokes and things like that. But I can see in a world, I could give a TED talk on Bluey and Bob's Burgers sharing similar life lessons,
Yeah.
which is great.
I mean, I think we're in like a really interesting moment for animated television these days because you get shows like Bob's Burgers, you get shows like Bluey that are pushing animation closer and closer to being like relevant and relatable to the human experience, even though they are these animated shows and they star cartoons, they star dogs. You know, they're not necessarily visually relatable, but like the themes that they're talking about, the stories that they're covering, they're just kind of like smaller slices of life. They're not trying to like be Game of Thrones or anything, but
No.
you can connect to them more because of that.
Yeah, like something like The Simpsons or South Park, which has been on for, they both have
Mhm.
been on for eons, kind of a thing. Like, I remember starting out watching both of those shows, and it was like, it was taboo, you
Yeah.
know? It was like, "Oh, I can't believe your parents let you watch that show," or "I can't believe you're letting your kids watch that show." Like, can't they say things like "hell" and "damn it," and things like that. I mean, but they were, more for comedy's sake, what you think of traditional cartoons. But like, I love that the medium has evolved over time, and that's something that like anime has done for a long time, and that's something that we talked about like Miyazaki doing that kind of stuff, just elevating the medium, which is great. But when you look at something like a television setting, a thing that comes on the TV once a week, for forever, I love that this has a good staying power to it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Yeah, it's got power behind it, and it hasn't it's evolved with the times, it's evolved with itself. It hasn't really grown stale, at least for me, which is exciting. Um,
has the show ever won awards? Any awards?
yeah. I mentioned it's been so the Emmys are essentially like the level of the Oscars, but for television, right?
Hmm.
Um, they have an award for outstanding animated program, which is just like animated shows. It's been nominated, I think, every year it's been on, and it's won twice.
Oh wow.
I can, yeah, look up the episodes that it won for. Those are pretty good too. Um, and then, yeah, it gets nominated at like the Annie Awards too, which is like animation specific
Cool. Yeah.
shows. But yeah, hugely critically lauded.
Love that.
Before we get into kind of like last thoughts and end games, as I finish the last drops of my cocktail, tell me about what you mixed up today.
Good remembering. I too am almost done. But so one thing that we already touched on is that this show loves a pun. So I had to do a punny beverage, and I drew inspiration from the one of the episodes that I thought was very funny, one that I got the most kick out of, which was the first one, Bob's fires the kids.
Mhm.
Um, so I have some muddled blueberries and maple syrup, rum, fresh squeezed orange juice, and some soda water in here, and I'm calling it the false bottoms up,
Thought you were going to say just a little bit of weed in there too.
and just a little bit of weed. I am coasting, my friend. I
Tiny
am.
bit of weed.
What's it called when you're high and drunk at the same time?
You're you're
It's
just
not speaking my language.
living life, baby.
Living la vida loca. There's a phrase to it, and I can't think. I think what it is. Anyway, what do you got?
I just remembered the joke from the episode where Bob's like, "Yeah, Willie Nelson would love this place, but not for the reason you think."
Yeah, that's right. Oh man.
I got a simple one this week. I am calling it the Belcher. So the family's name is Belcher, Bob Belcher and family. And I'm taking that literally. This is a half Corona, half raspberry lemonade. And it's a little bubbly, and it's been making me burp as I record this. The Belcher.
What is the etymology of the family Belcher?
I don't know what the name is from. I'm assuming they are like Italian American. They're kind of like olive skin, dark hairish. I don't know.
Yeah. I will say that the choice of animation to make every character look like a thumb is a unique one, but it helps them stand out from more anthropomorphized, humanistic type of characters. They didn't
Yeah.
go the route of Simpsons where like everyone's yellow and you just live with it. Except for the black characters, they're black, which is a choice, which is very strange. They haven't rectified that yet. Um, and then like everything else, like they're normal skin colors, but they look more like people-y. This one was a choice. Everyone looks like a thumb. Everyone's got like very flat, weird features.
Yeah.
They're vaguely human, but
It does. It's another way that kind of marks this show as a turning point in like animated sitcoms. Is like this is the first major show to look like this. Again, I think Lauren Bouchard had shows before that were in this rough style, but like you have Bob's Burgers, and since then you have shows like I think Central Park. I think like The Great North is what it's called. That like are in this same style of animation. It's like the same teams work on those shows. They've kind of
Mhm.
branched off of Bob's Burgers. And so it's become its own animation style in its own right
That's cool.
because this show is so foundational.
I do appreciate that. That's really great.
Yeah. All right. Let me kind of walk you through the end games, and then we'll give some final thoughts here.
Great.
Do we have a video, or am I just jumping in here?
You're just jumping in.
Perfect. Okay. You knew what this is going to be. I'm calling
Did
this
I?
game Burger of the Podcast. Bob's Burgers, famous for its Burger of the Day puns. That's on the whiteboard it's on the chalkboard in the restaurant every single episode. Bob creates a new Burger of the Day. He is very proud of his Burger of the Day puns that he writes on the blackboard. So what I have done, I have created a game called Burger of the Podcast, and here's what it is. I have created, let me see, 12 different Burger of the Days. I will name them and describe them, and you will have to tell me what famous TV show they are referring to. I almost did movies and episodes that we have covered, but then I was like, I've kind of worn that to death. We
Yeah.
do that all the time. And so these are TV shows. They're all related to TV shows. You should know all of them.
Okay.
And it's easy. You'll get it.
Okay,
We'll
great.
see how this goes.
Wonderful.
Okay. I might butcher these pronunciations, so if I need to like say things in different ways, just kind of let me know.
Okay.
And we'll go through it. Number 1. The Kramerickan cheeseburger comes with American cheese. Which show is this related to?
The Kramerican? I mean, is this Seinfeld? Is this a Kramer burger?
It's Seinfeld.
Great. Okay, all
Number-
right. I got it. I got you.
You're 1 for 1.
Mm.
Number 2. Okay, sorry.
Do it.
The Minter is gumming burger served with a side of mint gum.
Mint gum?
Yeah.
The mint. Oh wait, the Minter is coming.
The Minter is gumming.
Gumming. Oh, is this Game of Thrones?
It's Game of Thrones.
Why mint? Because
it
it's a mint. It's a mint. Okay, mint burger. I love it.
Don't question my method.
I'm not. I would.
All
not.
right. Number 3. You're doing great. The Spring Onion Field, Illinois burger served with scallions on top.
That's The Simpsons.
Classic.
It's classic.
You got it. Number 4. The Albee Hair for Chew burger served with a side of angel hair pasta.
That's Friends. I'll be hair for chew. That's good.
Okay. Number 5. The final Franchmeer burger comes with cream cheese.
Final row. Star Trek.
Yes.
Oh,
These
that's
are-
good.
These will only get harder.
Oh man.
Okay. Number 6. You're doing fantastic.
Yeah.
Number 6. The doesn't cook like anything to me burger comes with a raw vegan patty.
I know this. Doesn't cook like anything to me. Doesn't look like anything to me. Doesn't look like anything to me. Oh my God, I can't
What
think
is
of
it?
it.
What is it,
What is
Justin?
it?
We watched this show together. What is it?
Doesn't look like anything to me. Oh my God, my brain won't. The rum. It's the rum, Joe.
You'll get there. You'll get there. Do you want a hint?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. HBO,
Okay.
kind of sci-fi.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Westworld.
Westworld doesn't look
Hey.
like anything to me.
Oh, that's good.
God, remember Westworld?
Remember those simpler times?
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Number 7. The sunny side up day, sweeping the clouds away burger comes with an egg.
Is it a big bird egg? Sesame Street? Is that Sesame Street?
Yeah, I should have made
Yeah.
it a big burger egg. God damn it. Okay. Number 8. You ready?
Mm.
The That's Nut Bee Spread burger comes with honey and peanut butter.
That's nut bee spread. Nut bee Arthur. No, that's not it. Am I going down the wrong path?
Jonathan said this one was too hard.
That's nut bee spread.
Try
Uh,
saying it fast.
That's nut bee spread. Give me another hint.
The That's Nut Bee Spread.
That's not bee spread.
It's referring to a famous phrase from this show.
Sure, it is. That's not bee spread. That's a moon. That's no moon. Star Wars Rebels.
Nope. It's an NBC comedy show.
Spin City.
No. Not Spin City.
Nuts butts bee spread.
It's related to paper.
Newspaper.
No.
Dunder Mifflin.
Maybe. Yeah. It's a play on That's What She Said.
That's nuts bee spread. Okay. Yeah, you're right, Jonathan. That was very hard.
That was too much. I'm sorry, but you did get that wrong. All right. Still doing great. Number 9. Ready?
Yep.
The Tripe Has Broken burger comes with deconstructed sheep stomach.
The tripe. Oh man, you got me. I don't know.
The Tripe Has Broken.
The tripe has broken. Oh, is that Survivor?
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay. Number 10. The Oh My Cod They Grilled Kenny burger comes with grilled fish instead of beef.
Oh man, that's so good. South Park. That's good.
You got it.
They grilled Kenny.
All right, two more.
Uh-huh.
The Chardis burger comes with chards.
Just all kinds of Swiss chard, all that. That's Doctor Who.
You got it. You're an expert now.
I got it. One little hiccup.
All right. Last one. The Vermouth is Out There burger served with a shot of vermouth.
Ew. X-Files.
X-Files.
The vermouth is out there.
Oh, Justin, thank you so much for playing
Hey.
Burger of the Podcast. This was so hard to come up with.
I bet it was, but that's genius.
I gave you the name of this game, and then I was like, shit, this is harder than I thought.
I got to do the work now. Yeah, I'm so out of practice, too, of like doing theme songs and stuff. I was just creatively bankrupt, other than the lo-fi.
No, I absolutely loved the lo-fi trailer. That's all I want out of this.
Well, I mean, that's all you're going to get. So, which plays into what we're going to do next episode. Anyway, let's get into some final thoughts. What do you got? Closing arguments for Bob's Burgers?
Yeah, I mean, if this is our first TV episode on our podcast, I would love for you to walk away just like with as much of an idea of what the show is and what it means to people as I
Mm.
can. And so I tried to give you kind of like a wide enough episode umbrella as possible. But I would also love for you to consider this to be like a show in rotation in the future. Just kind of sink into it. Watch an episode here and there.
And you have done that swimmingly.
Mhm.
This is a show that I think we will definitely put on in the background when we need just something to watch or something to put
Yeah.
on. Because, like you said, like you can passively watch this show. Um, each episode is contained in and of itself. You already have an idea of the characters, or we already do now with these 5 episodes under our belts. And yeah, I get it. I understand. Like I didn't know that it had an emotional underpinning to it. I didn't
Mhm.
know that it was, going to have these emotionally resonant, really sweet moments between family members. And that brings me to my ultimate theory and thesis about these episodes that you chose. Joe, you famously come from a large family of 12, um, 15 brothers and sisters,
I do not. I have 6 brothers and sisters, listeners.
but it's a lot nonetheless. And a lot of these instances, I think, pull towards some of your maybe of like remembrances of growing up, of like having multiple functions on the same night, and hilarity ensuing at the family house for Thanksgiving. Um, I don't think your parents own a restaurant or a business together, but like I bet the sentiment is there because you were all homeschooled. Um, things like that, and I think that's partly part of the reason why you may love this show, even though you don't know it yet. It exudes good family energy, and I think that's part of the thing that you love.
Justin, I thought I would be the one teaching you this episode, but no.
I
I
got
have learned more about myself. No, I fully see the through line there. One of the ways I love to describe my family is like through the different combinations of like siblings and parents and stuff that are available. There's so many angles to look at my family
Yeah.
in that way. And yeah, it falls right into the way that I love this show too. Is like you roll the dice with each episode. Any different combination of characters, you're always going to get something new and great. I love it.
It's great. Yeah, this was a fun new watch. I'm glad we kind of cracked the code of like how do we do TV. So I'm gonna figure out how to return the favor.
I'm excited.
There are several shows that I love that you haven't seen, but they are serialized. So
Mhm.
I don't know how we do that, but we'll figure it out because like fuck it, we're in the season of shaking shit up here.
Yeah, yeah, it's another mountain to climb. Give our listeners an idea of what's coming next. What's coming in down the pipeline in June.
So before we get to June, I'm gonna put together Joe, I don't know if you want to be on it or not, but maybe if you can spare the time. I was planning on doing like a best of clip episode, a clip
Mhm.
show. Kind of looking at this is also kind of like a foray into music of sorts. We've put together a lot of like unique musical interludes and stuff for this show. But usually they're at the tail end of the episode. Um, so I wanted to kind of bring those to the forefront and highlight some of like my favorite musical pieces that we've put together. I think of like the Labyrinth episode that we did. I loved that song that I did for that, as well as the Muppet Treasure Island one. Just kind of just going through and talking about like this is how the song was composed, or this was the inspiration, and watching the video, watching and listening to it, kind of talking about it a little bit, maybe doing like 5 or 6 highlights, just
It's
doing just a real
very
yeah.
yes, it's very talking head style. It's very documentary. It's very Siskel and Ebert. Yes,
Yeah,
love
right.
it.
So, probably do, either if you want to be on it, or it'll just be me just kind of talking about those things. It's going to be a clip episode, y'all, of
Speaking of TV shows.
Speaking of TV shows, it's going to be that kind of thing, but it's going to be musically focused. So we're going to be talking about that. However, after that, once we move into June, this was just a surprise kismet moment of a text between Joe and I. This is also TV adjacent, but with their movies we're going to be talking about. We're going to be centering around the Saturday Night Live universe. And first out the gate is a movie that I have seen and have grown up with and have loved, and Joe's never seen. Is going to be Wayne's World, starring Mike Myers and Dana Carvey, and it is incredible. And that one's going to be so much fun to talk about. And then Joe's also going to do another SNL universe movie after that. So like next month is SNL month, baby.
I'm very excited. It'll be a nice mixture of TV and movies because we'll be able to talk about the skits that first inspired the movies and then the movies themselves.
Yeah.
There's a few different movies that came out of SNL skits, and so folks,
There's a surprising number.
based off of Justin's personality, based off of my personality, may be able to guess what my pick is. But we'll keep it secret.
There is a surprising number of SNL skit related movies. The real answer may shock you. Stay tuned for those episodes. But anyway, yeah, towards the end of May, we're going to drop the clip episode featuring myself and or Joe maybe. But yeah, and then in June we're jumping to SNL. Then after that, I think we're going back to actors and maybe directors and stuff. Kind of circle
I'm
back around there.
I'm very excited for our July miniseries. Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be good. Yeah, that'd be great. But anyway, Bob's Burgers, I had a great time with it. It's going to get on the rotation. We're going to keep Hulu just because of it now. So,
Did you get Hulu for it?
No, we've had Hulu.
Oh.
We have the Hulu Disney Plus bundle, but you know, that's what we do now.
Oh yeah, all the Fox animated shows are on Hulu these days.
Yeah. So it's great.
Um,
But yeah, it's part of the lexicon. I get it. I understand it now. And yeah, now I can be a part of it. Part of
that's
the
what
universe.
this podcast is about. We did it, Justin. We did a TV episode.
Inclusivity, baby. That's how we do. Enjoy your springtime, y'all. Catch us on the socials at Uncultured Universe on all the places. And like, view, review, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your local neighborhood restaurant that's owned by a little family. They will enjoy it. Yeah, that's it. Peace.
Go have a burger. Bye.